Sometimes it feels like I spend just as much time listening to people talk about games as I actually do playing them. And one of the most common things I hear brought up is the idea of comfort games. It's not uncommon to hear people say they'll go back and play Super Mario World or A Link to the Past once a year to spark a bit of nostalgia and reconnect with the games they loved as a kid. But I don't know that I've ever felt like I have a comfort game. The closest thing for me is probably Rock Band or Guitar Hero, which I still play multiple times a week, but that doesn't quite feel the same. I play these games more to relax and decompress. Most of the time when I'm playing them, I'm not really thinking about anything at all. I play Guitar Hero or Rock Band for the same reason people play a real musical instrument, or even just go for a run in the park. It's certainly comforting, but it doesn't feel like it fits into the same category as the games I mentioned before. I've never had that one singular defining game from my past that made me realize that I love video games. Mostly because I can't really remember a time in my life where video games weren't a part of it. That being said, there is one game that has stuck with me since I was a kid, although the reasons why are quite different. What makes Earthbound and my relationship to it so important to me is not an ability to conjure up the same sensations from when I first played it, but instead how much that relationship has actually changed and grown over time. My first memories of playing Earthbound don't last very long. I must have been around the age of 3 or 4 because I didn't even know how to read yet, which turned out to be a substantial stumbling block when playing a text-heavy JRPG. I was still so young that I wasn't even going to school full-time yet, which meant while my much older brothers were away getting an education, I had the Super Nintendo all to myself, and I had a habit of popping just about any and every game we owned into that console. Well, I was proficient enough to get some enjoyment out of Zelda or Mario. Playing Earthbound mostly amounted to just randomly hitting buttons until my lack of reading comprehension left me either bored or frustrated. I don't recall how far I got, but I can't imagine it was much further than the intro. I had no way of knowing what was going on. Everything was just shapes and colors to me, but I also couldn't deny those same shapes and colors had some sort of strange appeal to it, even without understanding a word anyone said. So, although this wasn't a substantial first-time experience, it also wasn't the last time I played Earthbound either. The first time I was able to actually play the game with any real success, I must have been around 11 or 12. I still wasn't that experienced with JRPGs, but I had just come out the other side of the Pokemon craze of the late 90s, so I at least knew my way around a turn-based battle system, or at least enough to get by. That being said, I don't think I was truly able to appreciate just how subversive the game was. Sure, I was able to pick up how weird it was that instead of fighting dragons or skeletons, you're battling strange hippies and sentient dolly paintings, but I definitely didn't have enough exposure to the genre as a whole to know just how much it was innovating on the formula. The first half certainly had me hooked, though. The progression from beating up a steampunk robot in the back of an arcade to saving a girl from a cult of painters obsessed with the color blue, to preventing a town from being swarmed by an all-out zombie attack, and to battling with a literal pile of barf would stand out to even the most uninitiated players. But I don't remember if I was able to actually beat the game at this point. If I did, it certainly wasn't because I understood the mechanics very well. I mostly just brute forced my way through with the most basic of physical attacks and spamming my offensive psychic abilities. I don't remember being able to make it to the end and seeing just how powerful and beautiful it was until I played Earthbound again a little bit later in life. This time probably around the age of 16 or 17. Now I was old enough and experienced enough to understand the game both on a technical and narrative level. I could actually make use of the more nuanced mechanics like Jeff's many tools and weapons, or using different strategies besides just having everyone attack non-stop and hoping things turned out for the best. I understood how revolutionary things like the rolling HP counter, instant victories, and enemies running away from you were when compared to other JRPGs. And I was at the prime age to enjoy the game's witty and often fourth-wall-breaking writing style. What first seemed like a wacky and wild ride through absurdity, I now saw as a strange reflection of America through the eyes of an outsider, someone who only knew it by its pop-cultural exports. It was a game that not only knew how to be funny, but knew how to use that humor to mask its sadness as well. And then, of course, there's the ending. The end isn't the first time the game evokes a feeling of melancholy or hopelessness. In fact, those are feelings that have always been there throughout the entirety of the game, living just beneath the surface, but The end takes that subtext and brings it to the forefront for everyone to see. You're no longer fighting giant bugs, massive moles, and talking mushrooms. Instead, you're now face to face with the embodiment of all the world's malice and hatred. You're up against pure evil incarnate, and you're left without any means to fight it. After Ness and his friends have exhausted every last option, and none of their attacks are able to make a dent in their foe, the only thing they can do is pray to the friends that they've made along the way and ask for their help and their strength. And yet, even this is still not enough, but all hope is not lost because there is still one more person they can reach out to. The person who's holding the controller. You, the player. Earthbound is not the only game that goes for this kind of ending, but for me, and I assume many others, this was the first time I played a game that was directly speaking to me, the player, and not the character I was controlling. It pulled me into the game world, and not with a wink and a nod, but with earnest sincerity. All of the silly humor, all of the zany antics, all the serious monologues, and all of the genuine sadness and introspection, they all created a buy-in that made something as simple as putting my name on the screen go from feeling tacky to powerful. I thought I finally understood Earthbound. It was a simple tale about the bonds we form with the people around us, and how powerful those connections can truly be. I believed I had taken in everything the game had to offer me. And then I played it again, a few more years, now in my early 20s, and I learned the game still had even more to offer me. Playing it then, after moving away from home for the first time, and even more so now that I've moved to a completely new state multiple times, the aspects of growing up by seeing the world now became so obvious. Earthbound wasn't just a game about your internal life, about fighting the darkness and sadness, the melancholy and insecurities inside all of us. It's also a game about leaving home. It's as much about the world changing you as it is about you changing the world. Before, I only saw Ness's story as a play on the stereotypical hero's journey. Of course he needs to leave his home in search of companions and adventure. That's what heroes are destined to do. Along the way, he would of course be confronted with the shadow of his own inner demons, overcome them, and come out the other side stronger. But I couldn't see just how much the literal act of taking the journey could impact someone's development, because I myself had at that point lived a very stationary life. And this isn't some deeply hidden aspect of the game, but I couldn't see this because I had yet to live it. I'm hesitant to call Earthbound my comfort game. It certainly still brings me a lot of joy to play it today, but it isn't a game I run back to remember something I've forgotten. It's a game I replay to discover something new about myself. Earthbound is a game I've very literally grown up with, which really couldn't be more fitting. It'll be hard to ever find a game whose themes match my own experience playing it so perfectly. I've played other games that are more technically proficient, and games that tell a more elegant story, games that are the epitome of art and push the medium forward. But none of them are my favorite game because how do you top a game that has changed right alongside you? Earthbound is my own virtual time capsule. It's my reflection, a snapshot of myself when I was so young I couldn't even read, of myself when I was just discovering how to appreciate a piece of art on a deeper level, and of myself when I was able to contemplate finding my own place in the world. I don't know if Earthbound is done showing me new things, or if as I continue to grow it will keep reflecting back to me more of the person I have become. At this point, that's impossible to know, but one thing I am sure of is I can't wait to play to find out.